Hey everyone, today we're talking about targeting with Zen Prospect. So Erin, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do here.
Great. Well, I'm Erin Devine, a Zen Prospect Customer Success Manager. So basically, I help all of our users become power users.
So tell us what Zen Prospect is. I mean, let's take a step back.
So Zen Prospect is an all-in-one lead generation and outbound email automation tool. So what we do is we handle the top of the funnel, and we help people find good fit leads and send them messages successfully. That's the core of what we want to do.
Ooh, that's a very succinct message.
Thank you.
So tell us about, let's talk targeting first. I've used Zen Prospect. You've got crazy good targeting options. So just walk us through what a well-qualified lead means.
Sure. Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a really hard one. And for every business, it's very different. But a well-qualified lead or a good quality lead is someone who is most interested in buying your product. And we try and focus on helping people find people who are most likely to buy the product now. So a great way to think about, timing is
the now piece is really
the
fun.
now piece is wild.
Yeah.
And it's really key because a lot of people are, when you begin, you don't know what that means, right? You're like, I think I'm selling to IT directors. I don't really know, and you think, but maybe there's someone above them that needs to make the decision and needs to sign off, and you won't win unless you buy them in. The other thing is maybe there's someone that's the user that really loves it, or maybe really hates it. So then it wouldn't, right? And then that would also ruin it. So you have to really get to know your environment. It's not just one person. Most of the time, there's a statistic that's like, there are like 6 to 7 people involved in every purchase in a B2B situation.
Talk to us about the now. I mean, I want to dive into all the targeting criteria, but how do you know? How do you know when someone is ready to buy your product?
Ready to buy.
Yeah.
So there are like triggers. So there are things in there. So we do B2B, so I'll do a B2B. Would that be a good example?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll give like a B2B example that will, let's say that you are a recruiting company. This is a really easy one. And I want to find companies that need my services to recruit great talent. So I'm going to find companies with a job posting open for whatever I can supply them. So a great targeting, so to be general about this, and we'll narrow it down even more, to be even more strategic about, and then this also goes into how to create a campaign. So I'm a recruiter and I can help people find great talent. Done. I need to find people who have a job posting out there, just a job posting. In Zen Prospect, we're actually the first tool that allows you to search for job postings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's cool. You can find by an open job posting. Now, for the job posting, let's say that now you can say, I only help companies. Well, anyway, sorry, just to get back to taking it back. So let's say you have companies that have a job posting open. You can now email that company and say, hi, head of HR at this company. So the person who's probably most interested, you think is most interested. You can say, hi, head of HR of X company. I noticed you have a job posting out. I'm a recruiter. I can help you do that and save you, 30 hours a week per HR person in finding good talent. Pretty compelling message.
Yeah.
Now, specialize. So you've been emailing for a while and you've closed a few companies, a few deals, and you realize for some reason, technical recruiting is like what your leads are all about. You're making the most money off of technical recruiting.
Sure.
Engineers.
Yeah.
Right? So now you can create you can either focus on that as a business, like sort of pivot and like focus, or you can just treat that as a great vertical to be going down. So now you can say, I'm going to look for companies that have an engineering team with this many engineers and have a job posting out for these specific titles. Because I have a case study or 2 case studies that tell me, that tell them that I was really successful in finding them the best talent. This is the time and money I save them. Huge deal. And I'm ready to like name drop and say, I helped X company your peer solve this problem. So that's strategic targeting. And the trigger is the job posting. There are other things as well. People use different technologies. The trigger could also be that, then maybe not trigger, but a quality way to qualify them would be that they have at least 3 engineers in their team. So you're not just giving them like a CTO when they can't like afford one. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Now, walk me through some of the targeting options, and if you could tie that back into the targeting piece, like why you would use some of these options. I mean, specifically in Zen Prospect, and how people should think about that.
Sure. So what are all the different filters in Zen Prospect, and what should people think about those filters?
Yeah. Well, more specifically, how should people apply those filters to their campaign? Like, why do they matter? Why does it matter what, I know your platform could say, is there a Facebook targeting pixel, right, on the site? Like, so why should those matter to me, and how should I think about that if I'm just doing this by myself and I don't have someone to help me out? Yeah,
that's a really good question. Okay, so there are there are over 21 different filters in the Zen Prospect customer profile tool. Some of the most popular, or like we discussed before, title. Title's really important. Title, these are your personas. So you're identifying your ideal customer profile. You're identifying what titles are necessary for you to make a decision in order to be purchased or in order to close a deal, whatever that's going to be like. So title, really important, and making sure that you have all the decision makers. Like we mentioned earlier, it takes like 6 to 7 people. So just like know those people, target for them, send them appropriate messaging.
Okay.
Because each of them is going to have completely different values. A VP is going to be focused more on numbers, whereas a manager might be focused, like a direct manager, might be more focused on time, might be more focused on tracking and like getting transparency into their team's activities. Yeah. So that's one way to apply title. You have company size by number of employees. So are they big enough? Which would indicate, do they have the budget? Which could also indicate, are they viable for me? Depending on my service or my product, that number of employees could be really significant. If I'm a lunch service, for example, right, I'll need them to have at least a certain number of employees, or less. Maybe I'm focusing on small companies.
Sure.
And then size by department can be really significant. That's helpful for, what's a great example? Being able to focus on the size of your department.
I'd imagine like an IT organization, right? Like you pay per seat. You don't want to target IT departments with 3 or 4 people.
There you go. Exactly. You want like 100 people.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. So size of your value of your deal. And then we have, let's see, titles, customer, number of employees. Another one is technologies that we talked about before.
Like
so key. So technology is really helpful. Let's say that I do really well. I integrate with Marketo. And that's a huge selling point for me. I can create an entire campaign about, hey, I know that you use Marketo. We integrate with Marketo. We save this amount of time, blah, blah, blah. Whatever my value prop is. Email everyone in the world who uses Marketo. All of them.
That's a bold claim. How do you get that data? And B, what about internal tools like Salesforce? Or is it only stuff that you can find on their website? Like, walk me through that a little bit.
That's a really good question. So how do you get the data? Many different sources. A lot of it's your own scraping. Sometimes you can also use a third-party tool, third-party service. So for us, it's a lot of scraping, little third-party service. And usually, to scrape for it especially, it has to be somewhat publicly known. There has to be a script, right, on your public website page that's like trackable. Sure. I can say you have implemented.
Sure.
There's a trace. For internal tools like Salesforce, that would be really hard to get transparency into. We don't have that insight for specifically Salesforce.
Sure.
But if there's a way, we'll get it.
Yeah. I found that about your tool. You got really good data. So we've got we start with the persona. You know who you're targeting. You you think about your filters, whether it's department size or now you have to plan your campaign. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about, some people's aversion to cold email, which is bad cold email, I think. So how should I think about that? How should I think about how many emails I should send, about like what content should be in that email? Like, walk me through that piece.
So everyone's allergic to spam, right? So, and it just pisses people off or it doesn't. Maybe it's just boring and you skip it. I see there's an image there, I'm done. It's a marketing email. Yeah, and unless the subject line was like, this is totally changing your life, I'm going to be like, bye. Yeah. And everyone will. So the way you can be, the way you get read, the way you convert people is to get very intimate with the issues that you're solving for your customers, for your personas. And again, it's kind of that piece that we talked about before, based on what title, what are you most afraid of, what do you lose your job over? What do you get a promotion for? That's the information that you want to be writing directly about immediately. So something that I love to talk about when I'm advising clients on how to write a killer first cold email is I'm all about numbers. If you have numbers, lay them out. Yeah. And number one, in terms of structuring your campaign, you might have a lot of numbers, depending on how experienced you are in building this company and working with people and providing the service. So pick your most salient, and you can A/B test it as well. I always encourage A/B testing. And pick your most salient number, the biggest number, and be like, we helped people solve X, or we help people get X amount of ROI, time saved, whatever it is, out of this. So you can put that in the subject line, and then I would just say it right away. So most people, regular humans who write things to people, you try to be very nice because we're supposed to be nice in real life, right? In real life, we're like, hi, how are you? Just like the guy on the bus. Yeah. Right?
I don't know why you're emailing
Do you
the
mind
guy
moving
on the bus.
up? Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
We're not on the bus.
Yeah, okay, all right.
We're in sales now.
Okay, all right. I get
exactly,
it.
sales land. So
all
now
right,
it's like, don't open up with, hi, how are you? Don't say, I really thought you'd be great. Like, yeah, it's great to flatter, but it's best to say, I provide X value. Get to the meat. I'm relevant to you because X. I provide the value because Y. When are you available? Or CTA, whatever that call to action is. Yeah. That's a really good first email. And in terms of structuring your campaign, try and think about it in terms of that problem that they have. And headline it with their biggest pain. Or their greatest accomplishment, right? Usually pain.
Do you guys do cold emails to get people to sign up to Zen Prospect? What is your headline?
Our headline?
Yeah.
We try a bunch of them, and it's different for every one of our personas.
Whoa.
It's different for every one of our verticals as well.
Same thing with the call to action?
Call to action? I'm not sure, to be honest. I need to look at I can report back.
We'll get this information. So yeah, like talk to me about talk to me about length too of the email. I think, when we talk about postcards, we'll tell people the only thing you have to do is pique interest. You just have to get them the next step in the funnel. You don't have to sell your product. You don't have to, you just have to get them to take the next step. So walk me through email copy. Should it be long? Should it be short? And then talk to me about what are the call to actions that you guys liked or most compelling, or you find convert the most, yeah? Yeah,
absolutely. Always focus on conversions, and I agree. It's when you're sending your first email, for example, you're not also attaching a contract. You're not like, and sign on the dotted line.
One day I will do that.
Yes. Right?
Here's the contract. Sign away.
We can save you 10 hours per week.
Yeah.
Sign right here.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's our wire information. Right? I mean, that's no. But you can. So yes, I totally agree. I think you should just get them ready to take the next step. The most common next step is get on a call. Schedule a time to speak with me. It only takes 10 minutes. And I just want to chat with you about your problems. It's not just, I just want to tell you everything. It's like, I want to hear about you and mutually evaluate whether this is going to be beneficial for you and me. Yeah. Because I want you to be a good customer, not a bad customer. that hates me and then gives me bad reviews.
Does that call to action have a time? Like, is it a link to a Calendly, or I use Mixmax to share my calendar, or is it like these times are available, or what are?
Yeah, what are the best converting CTAs?
Yeah.
So the best converting CTAs, and again, I think you should really A/B test everything. So try it because it will change per persona. It'll change with how savvy people are, whether they trust a link to click a Calendly link.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it'll change per industry. It'll change per like title and seniority. So my favorite ones are just do you have time to connect briefly this week? For some people, it's really helpful to mention the exact amount of minutes. So like, are you available for 15 minutes this week or next week?
Yeah.
And then another really good one is, do you have 15 minutes next Tuesday or Thursday?
Because it's a specific day. It's like it's more actionable.
Day and time. And kind of I don't know if this is too long of a thing to talk about, but the psychology behind that is that if you're in a grocery store and you're presented, you have this like booth that's selling jams. And
jams.
Oh, jam,
Yeah,
great.
jams are good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
So so you're at the jam booth, and it's like, here are 10 jams. Pick your favorite jam. Buy one of our jams. People are, and then you have the other booth next to it that's like, I have 3 jams.
Yeah.
The one with 3 jams will get more purchasing. It'll make more money that day because people make less decisions when they're presented with more options. So by just saying, "Are you free?" It's kind of like, I don't know, all the time.
Yeah. It's harder to. Do you add in times in there as well? Like Tuesday at 3:30?
Sometimes, but I don't see it a lot.
Okay.
I think keeping it somewhat general is fine. And then people do use the Calendly link. Hey, are you available? Hey, are you available next Tuesday or Thursday? Or please feel free to select a time with this link. So people do that.
What about long versus short emails? Short? Like 2 sentences,
Short.
3?
As short as you can.
Wow.
But with all the value you possibly can fit into it. You have to be convincing. Because this is a person who's smart, who has a lot of needs, who could lose their job, or needs to like meet a revenue goal. To be empathetic with them is your greatest capability. If you can understand their issue, and that comes with time and experience, which means you're probably being successful. You know what I mean? The more you understand them, the more success you get. So really try to get into their pain. Really try to get into what they care about. And sometimes what they care about is not the coolest thing they're going to get out of your platform or out of your service. We provide, that's the most important piece. That's exactly it. It's not about you. Yeah. It's about them and what they think they need.
Can you define short? What is short? 1 sentence, 2 sentence, like?
Not 2 sentences. That's like, what? But like.
Too short.
Too short is like, did you have enough time? But short could be, generally it's like, actually, yeah, maybe 3, 4, 5 sentences.
Nothing longer than?
It varies. It also varies on the message, but I try to go for, you could do 3 sentences. I try to go for 4 to 5.
Okay.
Just try to keep it small. Read it over, cut the fat away, so don't say more words than you need to say, and you're gonna win.
How many emails should I be sending for an appropriate A/B test?
At least 2, right? Compare. 3 is really good because if you have too much information, you won't know what to do.
Sorry, I asked the question poorly. I meant in total how many emails, not how many variations.
So sorry. How many emails should you send to close a deal?
Well, what is that? What is the average conversion rate, and how many emails in total to test out a cold email campaign?
Got it. Sorry. Okay, great. Yes. How many emails to test out a cold email campaign? You should send at least 8. Stats behind that are, after 8 follow-ups, you've probably gotten all the replies you're ever going to get.
You send 8 follow-ups on a campaign?
8.
Wow.
I've seen 64. Our common ones are 19.
Does it work? I mean,
it works.
If you look at the curve of that, what is that? Is that like most of the follow-ups happen on the 4th, or like?
Really good question. Most of it's the 2nd, It's almost like not the first, right? It's almost this, it's usually the second and third. After that, it kind of drops away. But the point of following up so much is not that you'll get the most replies on step 5. It's that step 6, you'll get the reply you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't follow up. So that's why you follow up. And that's why I use automated sequencing, because you don't have to literally go in there, and I had to do that manually before. Like actually follow, and it was in healthcare. So it's like actually following up all the time. So I would say an ideal sequence should be at minimum 8 steps. It could be email follow-ups. The steps could be, because in Zen Prospect you have 4 different types of steps. So it could be phone calls. Phone calls are extremely relevant still, especially well-timed. We have an alert section on the side of the platform that you can see a real-time open. And we have a rep, he's great, Cam. He is now the lead sales rep.
I saw that in the dashboard.
Right? Isn't he dope?
Yeah. Zing.
Yeah, he's dope. And so he's like, he will call them when he sees the open. He checks it every hour. So it's like, it's really all about being top of mind. There are also plenty of stats. This might be a little off topic, but there are plenty of stats that say that if you're the first salesperson the contact talks to, you're probably going to win.
Oh, interesting. That's a good stat.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. What does he lead off with? I mean, how does he start that conversation?
To be honest, I sent you a sales email earlier today. Did you get to see it? Of course I did. I know you just opened it.
Does he reveal that? I mean, does he? No, he doesn't reveal that he knew that. What else should I know? I mean, I feel there's just so much information about sending cold emails. It's just like a deluge of information. Now, you guys have done it. So what are things that are out there that you've seen that are wrong? And if I'm thinking about, so let's start there, and then, let's start there.
What's wrong? Things that are wrong. I'm trying to see what people say.
Or even what's really, really right. When you read this piece of advice, that's a good piece of advice.
That one.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Got it. Piece of advice, aggressive follow-ups. People generally, like we were talking about before with like hugging strangers, people generally...
No additional context to that question.
One. You can't just like... for follow-ups, people are uncomfortable about following up too much. It's like, isn't that disrespectful? Isn't that annoying?
Yeah, interesting.
Don't be annoying. When you follow up, be intentional about it. And you should follow up. Follow-ups should not just be, hi, remember when I tried to email you about scheduling a call? Do you want to schedule that now? No, of course they don't. Yeah. Teach them why working with someone like you is so helpful. And teach them why they have a pain point and you can solve it. And I mean that they have a pain point and you can solve it. Because sometimes they don't realize that that's a pain. Maybe they didn't realize, maybe you're in an industry where it's so new or not as common where you're like, you don't have to live this way. Yeah. We have a customer right here who doesn't live that way anymore. And we changed this. This is how we changed their life. Your next follow-up, this is also how I changed their life. This is also a residual thing of what happened. Also, here's an ebook about something that we worked on. And again, here's a case study about what I talked about in the last emails. And giving them resources, telling them stories about success, telling them stories about how you got someone like promoted because of that service, or whatever that positive versus pain point is. Teach them that you care about them, that you're familiar with their problems, and you're definitely the right match. If not, I'm definitely worth a phone call to see if we might work together in the future.
So loss aversion is big. Tell me how many replies you get of people that are angry, and how do you deal with that emotionally? It's like, I know it's a hard question, but I think people have to get over that to be able to start this process, right?
They do. Outbound sales is so harsh.
Yeah.
It's so harsh because everyone's a stranger.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I mean, no matter what, you get like many negative emails and replies and or answers to calls per day, and people get irate. But that's, to be honest, they're not like even 20% of the time irate. More like 50% of the time, they're like, please stop emailing me. If it's a negative reply, not like everyone you email, but like out of the negative replies. And some are, this is really important. Some negative replies are, this isn't the right time, thanks. Use every negative reply, especially those that mention a qualification, like this isn't the right time. Yeah. There's a quality about your timing. Note that and ask and say, oh, hi, Nancy. Thanks. What time will be better? Yeah. Or when is your contract up and what tool are you using? This is a great opportunity for you to find either better timing or know what tools people are using, and maybe you'll see over time what like the statistics behind what people that you're reaching that and what competitor of yours are they using, and you learn more, and you can see, just search for anything you can identify a trend on.
Have you found that there's a good like A to Z guide on this? I mean, I feel like just Googling is probably a bad way to go about this. So is there like a really good guide? You're like, this is a really, if I'm going to start sending cold emails, this is the way to get started. And
how to kick it off.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic ebook, to be honest. It's a really good ebook. It was written by my teammates. I was involved too. And we have transparency into a lot of teams' sales processes. So I think it's really helpful. To our ebook, I can send it out and like you guys can use it. And then also I really like, I'm forgetting the name, it's Sales Folk.
Okay.
Sales Folk is a fantastic blog written by a really smart sales professional. She's really amazing. She's been in like all these magazines. I think that Sales Folk is a really helpful source as well.
What is the expected conversion rate of an email campaign? This is the last
question.
Okay,
perfect.
Last question.
So the conversion rate, so in 2016, the average open rate was 22%. The average reply rate was 1%. And then interested rate, we have a metric for interested. So that means they're converting to meetings, to like having demos. It's like a 1%. So what we generally see for our successful clients is we're seeing actually 40% open rates or more. Wow. But it's like double because they're targeting.
Yeah, it's good.
And being able to understand your messaging and what messaging is most salient with your contacts. So open rate can be like 40. You want to be, obviously the more the merrier, but if you're getting like a 35% open rate or 30% open rate, you're doing well. If you're getting like a 3% reply rate, you're doing really well. And then, after that, a 1% interested rate is fine. 2% is better. But that's like, those are some general ones. We're seeing that. Yeah. And I think that if I were starting out, I would know that I am successful when I reach that. That's successful.
3 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, great.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, that is crazy. Yeah. Well, you can send a bunch of cold emails. So thank you so much for taking the time. I took a little bit longer than I was supposed to.
No
so I appreciate that. And I'll see everyone later. Bye.